Good to see you all. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to this MBSR Teacher Training Info session. So let me first make sure that that rings true for you, and that's where you thought you were going to be landing, learning about the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Teacher Training Program, yeah? Okay, great. So my name is Patty Holland, and I'm one of the faculty here at the Mindfulness Education team at the School of Professional Studies, and also have an assistant professor of the practice appointment at the School of Public Health, which is where the Mindfulness Center at Brown is situated. So our public courses and our teacher education is situated in the School of Professional Studies, and our research team is situated in the School of Public Health. It's good to have you all here. Fran, do you want to take a moment and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. So I am the Associate Director of Non-Degree Programs here at Brown University's School of Professional Studies. So as Patty mentioned, we have our short courses and our teacher training pathways are housed over at the School of Professional Studies, but we work very, very closely with the Mindfulness Center, which is a globally recognized research center for mindfulness out of the School of Public Health. My background is in clinical research. I used to run clinical trials largely focused on mindfulness-based interventions. And so it is so wonderful to have you here. I'm going to let Patty is going to be leading the session, but I know the group can get quite large, so it's hard to manage both the chat and also go over the information. So if you have questions, feel free to enter them into the chat and we can address those live as well later on.
Yeah. It's great to have you all. Fran gave a little bit of her background. I'll give you a little bit of mine. So I've been teaching mindfulness, specifically mindfulness-based stress reduction and MBCT, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, for 10 years, and train in both programs, coordinate the MBCT teacher training pathway as well. Yeah, so it's great to have you all here. So, we're here to explore this program that involves mindfulness. So it just seems right that we should start with a little bit of mindfulness practice. So maybe just inviting yourself to settle into a position that feels both supportive for your body and also invites a sense of presence and wakefulness. Maybe allowing the attention to just gather for a moment in the body, feeling the weight of your body sitting in the chair and your feet on the floor. Feel like you can close your eyes or just keep them open, allowing a gentle, soft gaze. Take a moment to check in with yourself. How are you as you show up? What are you aware of? What's here in your present moment experience? And for the next few moments, finding a place that for you in this moment would feel supportive and steadying to anchor the attention. This way that we can rest and return our attention to support a grounding and a steadyingness. So this might be your breath, and you might find where you most vividly feel the breath. But as we explore in our class, there are other options for anchoring the attention. So it might be a touch point on your body, such as your feet or your hands. could even be sound. So taking this opportunity to invite yourself to settle right into yourself, into this time and this moment. And something brought you here today, whether it's your personal experience with mindfulness and a stirring to want to share that in some way with others, to find ways to bring mindfulness into work that you do or work that you want to do, adding to the work that you're already doing, perhaps in this area. So there's something very precious that's stirring within you. And maybe seeing if you can just touch into that a little bit. And then notice your experience as you do, how that feels in body, mind, and heart. And then maybe just allowing the breath to become a little bit more intentional. Taking a few deeper and slower breaths, a depth and a pace that's comfortable for you. Letting the breath return to a more natural rhythm and flow. Bringing some movement to the body. And then opening your eyes. Yeah, welcome to everyone that's joined. Good to have you here. So I'll go over our MBSR Teacher Training Pathway, and then we'll have time for questions, right? And as questions arise, you can either jot them down or you can put them in the chat, and Fran will either call them to our attention or respond in the chat, depending on the question. So I'm curious, first of all, how many of you are familiar with MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction? Yeah, quite a few. How many of you have taken an MBSR class? Yeah, quite a few. How many of you are in an MBSR class right now? Right? And you're like, yeah, I'm here because I wanna find a way to bring this into what I do. Yeah. So it's good to have you all here. So I'm just going to share my screen and show a graphic. And the first thing I'll share is the first, because I couldn't tell for those of you that don't have your cameras on, the first prerequisite for our teacher training program is to take the course personally, right? How do you know what you're getting yourself into? How do you know if you want to invest your valuable resources, your time, your energy, your financial resources, training to teach something that you don't know anything about? And also at Brown, our commitment is twofold in our teacher training pathways, both MBSR and MBCT. We train to the rigor and the integrity of the curriculum of the course as it was intended, designed, and has been researched. And also as research has shown and is showing, recognizing how important the teacher's own presence in the class that stems from our own mindfulness practice, how important that is. Right. So taking the course personally allows you to both learn about it to see if it's something you want to train to teach, but also it's intended really to support you, to support your well-being and to strengthen your mindfulness practice. So Melissa's asking, you didn't take it at Brown. You do not need to take the prerequisite through Brown. If you've taken it elsewhere with another teacher for the prerequisite, that's fine. On the application, you will be asked just where and when you took it and who the teacher was.
Mhm. Patty, we also had another question from Danielle asking about, does it matter when you took it?
No, it doesn't matter when.
Yeah.
So,
And one caveat to the prerequisite requirement, as Patty said, definitely okay if you took it at another organization. It does have to been taught by a live instructor. There are some MBSR based programs that are taught kind of asynchronously without a teacher or a live teacher. So those would not count.
Yeah, thanks, Fran, for that. All right, so that's step one. So let's take a look at what the pathway looks like. And I'm going to focus on the first part of our teacher training pathway. I'll show you the whole pathway, but I'm going to focus on the first part, which gets you to teaching, which most of you want to do. It's like, oh, I want to start teaching. I want to start training and I want to start teaching. So I'm going to show that. Can everyone see my screen and see this graphic? Great, Fran, because you're right now, you're all I can see. So this is the pathway for the level 1 qualified MBSR teacher. And so you'll see over here the prerequisites. And so the first prerequisite, as I mentioned, is you have to take the course personally with a live instructor. Another prerequisite is that is that you have to have taken a silent retreat. Excuse me. You have to take a mindfulness meditation-based silent retreat. And we'll put into the chat a link to, in our materials, what describes the requirements for a qualifying retreat for our teacher training pathway. So your options are such you can either have taken or take a 5 to 7 day retreat, or you can take 2 3-day silent retreats. And again, the 3-day silent retreats are specific on our retreat page. We do include links to websites of teachers that are both adjunct teachers with us, but also have gone through formal training as a retreat teacher and have designed retreats that meet our requirements. So those are the first 2 things you need to do. And we accept retreats going back 3 years. Is that still true, Fran, 3 years? So if you've taken a retreat within the last 3 years, we'll count that if it meets the requirement. And if you are planning to take a retreat and you're not sure if it meets the requirement, we're going to give you Erin Wu's email address for other questions. But sometimes we recommend, if you're really not sure if it's going to qualify, then send us the link to the retreat to make sure that it does if you haven't already registered for it. And then, because the teacher's mindfulness practice is such an integral part of the experiential learning process, we ask that you have 2 years personal practice of a contemplative practice. So it could be mindfulness, it could be yoga. On our application, we'll ask you to describe what your personal practice has been and looks like. So once these prerequisites are met, then the first training course is the MBSR Foundations and Facilitators training course. And so in many ways, I often describe this as one of the more heavier lifts in terms of our courses. There, I mentioned that at Brown, we're very committed to quality and rigor and integrity. So our courses and our training programs really ask for a commitment. The MBSR Foundations and Facilitator training course, I consider sometimes a heavier lift, just so that you know for your schedule, because it's 10 weeks in duration. And it tracks along with an in-person MBSR class, not an in-person, a live MBSR class. So this you would be taking with Brown. So you register for a foundations program, and it's paired with one of our open MBSR classes. So you're in a second MBSR class. The first time you take MBSR, you're learning about the program. You're deepening your personal practice. You're exploring the benefits and how the program feels for you. In this second course, we use our lived experience in that second class as we unpack session by session the curriculum of the MBSR program. What are we doing in session 1? What are the mindfulness practices? What are the activities? How is this 8-week path unfolding? What's the scaffolding that participants are experiencing that leads them really to the middle of the curriculum, where we're looking at reactivity and the opportunity and the possibility of responding versus reacting, right? So we're scaffolding with different practices. We're scaffolding with formal practices. We train systematically in foundational practices of body scan, the 2 ways that we can work with our attention, a focused attention and open awareness, or as you'll see in research, open monitoring, mindful movement, whether that's walking or gentle yoga, but then also informal ways of cultivating this quality of presence in our day-to-day lives through how we engage in daily activities, how we communicate, right? So the class, those of you that are familiar with it, MBSR, is very experiential. 8 weeks, 2.5 hours. Half of that time is often spent both in practice or exploring and unpacking our experiences with practice, and what are we learning about ourselves and our ways of being and our patterns and ways that we can take better care of ourselves and respond differently. So you're in an MBSR class with other participants. You're in the class as a participant observer, and we explain this in the foundation's opening in the very first session. So you're there as a participant, but you're also there with more of an open awareness, sort of like, what's going on? What's the teacher doing, right? Because you're going to bring all of your personal experience in the class and your wonderings and your questions into the training seminar. That's another day. So you're in class twice a week with the same teacher. And so during the 3.5-hour seminar on the separate day, a number of things unfold. Like I said, we go through the curriculum session by session. But then we also explore and deepen our personal mindfulness practice, particularly in light of how and what we're exploring in the MBSR classroom. Right, so we're deepening our practice, we're inquiring into our own practice and each other, and we're exploring other aspects of the person of the teacher, if you will. We're looking at the role of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in the class, in ourselves. We're touching on the underpinnings, but we have a whole course that dives deeper into the underpinnings. But in foundations, we point to them, the contemplative practices and the Buddhist teachings. We look at the current research. We look at experiential education, of which the program really is based on. We look at group process and these frames of trauma sensitivity and diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And we we have an opportunity to learn and explore with each other. You're typically in a cohort with anywhere from 6 to 12 trainees exploring and diving into this. So this is 10 weeks. The foundation course starts with the MBSR orientation and then goes all the way through week 8. So you're in foundations for 10 solid weeks. You're in an MBSR class for the orientation. Those of you that have taken MBSR, at least at Brown, know that we skip a week then and there's individual meetings with the participants, and then you start on the 8 weeks. So in the foundation, we also take a look at the orientation process. What is that process like? And upon completion of the MBSR Foundations and Facilitator training, you have the status of mindfulness facilitator, and you receive a Credly badge for this. Because also during the foundations, you will be guiding elements of practice, focused attention, body scan, mindful movement, receiving feedback. We introduce and start looking at the mindfulness-based interventions, teaching assessment competencies, the MBI-TAC, which is a tool designed out of Oxford University and used by training institutes because it highlights 6 areas of competency and domain. So we introduce this, and then you gain some skill in being able to deliver mindfulness practices, maybe with greater confidence, hopefully with greater confidence and competence, and also safety. So you'll be receiving some feedback. And then you'll also explore how to create and deliver introductory programs. For some of you, offering introductory programs may be the first time that you're publicly starting to step into this role of mindfulness teacher, of an upcoming MBSR teacher. So that's the mindfulness facilitator. And then when you've completed that program, so you're eligible to offer introductory programs, start to bring maybe brief mindfulness practices into your work. Then there's a period of 3 months that you wait before the next teacher training course that I'll talk about in a minute, because it's really an opportunity to allow what you've just experienced to deepen and assimilate and integrate. During this time, if you don't have one, you take a second retreat. So you need a second, either 5 to 7 day retreat or 2 3-day retreats. You teach a minimum of 3 introductory programs. And we go through this and we talk about this in the foundations class so that you're clear about what that means and you have support in putting together an outline. We provide an outline for you to build on. And then also in foundations, you might think about, like, where do you want to deepen your study so that you're also engaged in independent study during this time. So then the second teacher training course that you take is called the Teacher Advancement Intensive, the TAI. And this is a 9-day program that's spread out over, I think, 7 weeks. You're in it for 3 days on a weekend off, 3 days, a weekend off, and then 3 days. So this is, once again, a deeper dive into the curriculum. You once again go through the whole arc of the 8 weeks, but the majority of your time is spent in small groups, practice teaching all the essential elements and components of the MBSR program. So that when you're done with the Teacher Advancement Intensive, you will have had an opportunity to teach and receive feedback and be seen by senior teachers delivering different aspects of the MBSR program so that you have a sense of it. Because after this, you're a qualified level 1 MBSR teacher and can begin to deliver the course independently. So I'm going to stop here, stop sharing, and see if there's any questions. Yeah, Diane.
Thank you. If it says 3 months after in between, and like let's say you have the time for the initial course, but there's already some things planned, could it be more than 3 months, or is there like a time limit on that?
Yeah, we're giving time limits. You are able to pace this in a way that fits for your schedule, your life circumstances, and your resources.
Okay.
Yeah.
No less than 3 months, but it can be longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions here. I see that Fran's been. So Christina, your question about qualified retreats in Italy. You know, we do know that there are some teachers in Italy that are offering. Fran, if you have access to the links, if you could put the link to the retreats in, if you don't, I can quick put that in.
Yeah, I did put in the link to the qualified retreat page.
Oh, perfect. That's it. Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot out there. So if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out directly to Erin or to the mindfulness email, and you can say, I'm thinking about taking this retreat. And so before you even like pay and invest in it, we can let you know if it's going to count or not.
Yeah.
And I mean, you might already kind of know this, but these don't have to be in person. There's a number of online retreats out there now that would meet the requirements.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are great questions that are coming in. So is it detriment to me if I don't have therapy practice or prior teaching? So unlike the MBCT program, which does require a healthcare background given the population and the individuals that are often coming to the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy program, that's developed specifically looking at our challenging mind and mood states like depression and recurrent depression. That's not a requirement for MBSR. We prefer that you have a master's degree. And if you don't have a graduate degree, we have a form that you can complete, a graduate equivalency form, where you can describe your life experience. We're looking for the skills that you might obtain through graduate work that will support you in this program. So very often, many people that don't have a graduate degree, but do have just a variety of life experiences, are able to be successful in the program. And it doesn't matter that you haven't taught before. This is why we spend a lot of time practice teaching and giving feedback and really encouraging you to go at your own pace. This is why, especially for those of you that aren't familiar with teaching or teaching mindfulness, we have you offer 3 introductory programs. It helps you get the feel for being in the teacher seat and for what that's like and for where you might want to teach. So the other thing you might want to be considering is, where might you offer this to? Who might you be willing to offer this to? What are you thinking about? What brings you here? You know, those of you that have taken MBSR, this very first question we ask in class 1, what brings you here? This is the time to be asking yourself this question as well. The TIA training program, Victoria, is 9 days, but it's spread out over weekends. It's either Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it will start on one weekend. You'll have the next weekend off. Then you'll meet again as your cohort. Then you'll have a weekend off. Then you'll meet again.
Patty, we
We
have
offer,
a question for, if you want to talk about CEUs.
Oh, so
Mhm. I did put some information there about CEUs. I mean, because there's so many different accrediting bodies out there,
right.
and the requirements vary so much. What we currently are able to offer is support in being able to apply to get CEUs. And so we do have trainees in our pathway that go ahead and take advantage of that. So we can provide, for example, the syllabus with the learning objectives, the total number of contact hours that would be part of the course. And we can also sign off and provide a letter of completion saying that you have met those hours and have attended.
Yeah, I just want to get the full pathway so you can have a chance to see that.
One other common question we get is around the requirement, the prerequisite requirement for a graduate degree or equivalency. You do not have to have a graduate degree to qualify for the teacher training. We have a form that we can provide you to be able to kind of demonstrate basically that you can have enough professional and academic experience to be able to think analytically, to communicate and engage with some of the curriculum that we'll be offering it through these courses. So if that was at all a roadblock for anyone, please do know that we are supportive of, and there's a way to demonstrate that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the form that I mentioned, and you can link to that right on our page. And it's fine that you're putting questions in the chat, and you're also invited to bring your voice into the room. So Victoria, you're asking regarding the introduction class I will be able to provide after the foundations. How long is the intro class and will the curriculum be provided? Good question. So it really is more of a workshop. It's an introductory workshop, and it's typically, we're looking at maybe an hour and a half. And we provide an outline that you can build on. It's not something that's required, but we talk about this in foundation and you're able to receive feedback. So it might be something, for example, that you might want to do at your workplace as a lunch and learn, or you might want to do at a local community center, or where you might be thinking of doing it. And because you're offering these introductory programs, between the time when you've taken foundations and you're going to take the teacher advancement intensive, after which you'll be a level 1 teacher, we also look at these introductory programs as potential marketing vehicles for you. You're introducing people to MBSR, into mindfulness, and you can let them know, if you know that when you might take the TII, you can, it's just a way to start to introduce MBSR in the communities where you want to teach. So a graduate degree is preferred but not required. So if you, AK, I'm looking at your question. So if you don't have a graduate degree, we do ask that you complete the graduate equivalency form. It's a narrative form that really asks you to describe your life experience, looking at the skills that Fran mentioned. So it's an opportunity for you to really showcase like all that you've done in your life that will support you in this really noble endeavor.
Are you able to share some examples with us of life experience that was used before, just to kind of get an idea of the prerequisite if you don't have a graduate degree? What would be?
Sure. It could be whatever work that you're doing, because in the course of your work, you've learned some skills, you've gained some training, depending on whatever the position that you're in. You might have raised and organized a family. You might have, you might be like a yoga teacher, or a different, like train or teach in a different kind of modality. So it really is looking at really acknowledging the strengths and the resources that you have, Erica, and how those will support you in the program, how those will support you in terms of being able to like think critically and engage with the materials, and sort of, as we teach in our class, sort of work with your edges and practice new skills. So if you've had experiences where you've had to learn something new, which I think most of us, since we were born, all have had many of opportunities to do, you can highlight those. Does that help?
Yes, it definitely does. Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, Fran just put the form in. And I'm going to put Erin Wu's in. So I'm sitting in for Erin, which is why you're like, why aren't you giving us your email address?
I have a quick question.
Yep.
One thing I'm trying to really understand is, what does it mean to be a teacher? So I have not taken the introductory class or the prerequisite yet. So I wanted to understand this whole program. But becoming certified, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah. So we train individuals specifically to teach the MBSR program, right? So this is often referred to as the gold standard in mindfulness programs. It was one of the very first evidence-based program, was the first evidence-based mindfulness program 40 years ago, developed by John Kabat-Zinn. A lot of the research stems from it. And so it involves certain competencies. This is where the MBI TAC comes in. There's a curriculum that we follow. And then you'll have a class, depending on where you're teaching, you'll have a class maybe anywhere from 6 to 10 to 20 people or more. So as a teacher, one of the competencies is you have to know the curriculum. As a mindfulness teacher and MBSR teacher, you have to both know the curriculum and also be responsive to what's arising in the class. And you have to organize your time. Like, it's like, oh, so there's like pacing and organization for MBSR. So I'm speaking to Erica, to an MBSR teacher, right? So we're teaching a modality with which mindfulness, this cultivation of this capacity. So you have to know how to skillfully and safely guide mindfulness practices. And so you'll both see how that's done and experience that, and you'll be trained. The group is experiential, so it's not really didactic, even though there's content. We're pulling on the individual's lived experience with the practice to highlight what we're teaching. So you need to both have an understanding of how to inquire in a way that supports that, and also how to bring in the relational aspect of that. So in the foundation, so when you're in the class, you'll see this, you'll experience the teacher. And then when you're in the foundations class, if you take that, you'll unpack, what does this actually mean and what are the competencies that are involved?
Got it. Follow-on question.
Yep.
So if I get certified, I have a class of 6 to 10 students. What does that look like? Is this a half a day workshop? Is this an actual, like an 8-week program? Like what I would like to, I guess that was
these are great questions.
Like,
so you're like, oh, here's an interesting sounding certificate program. I think I'm going to hop in. So MBSR is an 8-week program. Each session is 2.5 hours.
Okay.
It's curriculum based.
Okay.
So that's what you'll be learning and training to teach. So that's why this is great that you're here. This is why we really require people take the course personally. You may take MBSR and you may be like, wow, that was great. I learned a lot. Or you may be like, I don't know. And you may come out of that class thinking, oh, I don't want to pursue teacher training in this. This isn't what I want to do. It's not what I thought. Or you may be like, yes, this is what I want. Yeah. So a lot of your questions,
thank you so much.
Yeah, a lot of your questions will come from that. And as someone that's considering teaching, you have to have given some thought to, we at Brown, don't find classes for you. We can support you and we have resources to support you in terms of creating a business, but you have to be giving some thought to, where might I teach this? To who do I want to teach this?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
I have a question. My focus for the MBSR teaching would be to teach it to children, and I was wondering how the course supports different stages of life, because development is very different when you're a child.
Yeah.
When you're
And Maha, is it Maha? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's Maya.
Maya. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry.
No problem.
So Maya, have you taken MBSR?
No, never.
Yeah. So it was designed and developed for adults. And so there is elements of the course that require a certain cognitive capacity. So the course itself has not necessarily been designed for children. There are other curriculums for bringing mindfulness into schools or with children. And there's ways that people have trained in MBSR that they might design programs that include it, but we don't necessarily, it's not a program that looks at the lifespan in that way. Did I freeze or did Maya freeze? Okay, maybe it's Maya. She'll come back.
Patty, I want to make sure we don't miss it, but there was a question earlier in the chat from Kylie about retreat costs. And basically, I'll read it.
Yep.
What is the typical cost for a 2 to 3 day or 5 to 7 day retreat? So she did some research, and it looked like around 500 to 600 for a 2 to 3 day retreat. But just wanting to make sure if that seemed accurate, which to me it does seem that's typically what I've seen. I know that some organizations do offer like tuition assistance or a sliding scale.
Yeah.
Including although we don't offer retreats, I can put into the chat, we do offer tuition assistance for our teacher training pathways. So there's an application for that. That can be in the form of a tuition discount, or extended payments, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that our programs
Yeah.
are accessible.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Fran. The costs sound similar. And if you were looking even at links from our site, then that seems what teachers are charging. And again, many of them do offer a sliding scale. And so often the 3-day retreats, depending on like your responsibilities and obligations, feel more manageable in terms of doing it on the weekend. And often, retreats, there's both in person and online. So you want to think about that. On our retreat page that Fran put in, that's not an exhaustive list. It's an example of retreat sites that we know about. What you really want to pay attention to are the qualifying requirements of a retreat. We give the length of time, we give the types of practices. So look at that, because when you're thinking about applying for a retreat, you want to be able to ask wherever you're applying, would you meet these requirements? Yeah, and many of them do, but many of them don't. For example, some of John Kabat-Zinn's retreats don't qualify because they're not considered silent retreats. Right, so just because John is offering them, it doesn't mean that. So someone asked, I've already taken the course. What do I need to do to get started? So the next prerequisite, if you've taken the 8-week course, would be, do you have the retreat requirement? If you have the retreat requirement, then you are warmly welcome to register for an upcoming MBSR Foundations and Facilitator training course. We're offering, how many sections in January, Fran?
We have, sorry, you're talking about the foundations. I think we have 4 foundations, and we have 5 separate 8-week MBSR, the prerequisite MBSR classes available. So there's quite a few options. I will say that the MBSR classes fill up quickly. So if you still need to meet the prerequisite requirement, I definitely recommend signing up sooner rather than later for that.
Yeah. So I just want to go through some of these questions. So you do not need to complete the retreat before applying. You do need to complete the retreat before the class starts.
And
go on, Fran.
Oh, I was gonna definitely prefer that you complete it before it starts. If we have made exceptions, that if there's not always a lot of retreats available. So if you are scheduled for a retreat that starts and it takes place sometime during the course, reach out to the teacher or to Erin. We can sometimes allow for that. We understand, as long as you kind of complete it before the foundations class is done.
Ashley, I see you're starting with Ginny in January. Ginny's fantastic. Yeah, we know Ginny. Zainab, you're looking at, Ashley, you're also looking at Plum Village. So I would encourage you to go to our retreat page and read the requirements, because it is very specific. So for example, what you're describing here would not qualify. Typically, a qualifying retreat is about 12 hours long, maybe starting at 7:30 in the morning, going to 7:30 at night. And the day is really spent in alternating silent mindfulness meditation practices. There may or may not be like a Dharma talk in the evenings. There usually is an opportunity to meet with the teacher in the evenings. So we're looking for a particular type of experience. Oh, great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I would say that Plum Village is very much like that. We start at 5 in the morning with a silent sitting meditation, usually about 45 minutes. Then we transition into a silent walking meditation, another 30 to 45 minutes. Then we transition into a silent eating meditation. And it's only about in maybe 30 minutes into the meal that we will transition into a space where we can talk. And then the day alternates between substantial silent portions and then maybe a Dharma talk,
yeah,
another silent portion going into lunch, and then maybe another opportunity to talk. And then after it kind of goes on like that until dinner is done. But every evening when dinner is complete, even as people are trickling back to their dormitories, we've entered silence again and
yeah.
hold that through the morning. So that hopefully that provides a bit more detail, but that's what the Plum Village retreats have been like for me. I've been to two. Do you think that that would count?
I don't want to say for sure. What I would ask that I think might be helpful is if you can either have an outline or something about the retreat and send it to Erin. We put Erin's that,
Perfect.
yeah,
Okay, I'll do that.
because
Yep.
it sounds like you're describing something similar, but yeah,
Okay,
we want
thank
to
you.
clarify. Yeah. Carlos, you're asking a good question. What would you consider the MBSR course or the retreat? I mean, so on one hand, that question from your personal practice is like, what would you prefer? But if you're wondering, like, which of these should I start with because I'm interested in the training pathway, then I would start with the course so that you know that you're interested in the training pathway. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So let's say I took the MBSR course at the University of Minnesota. And then I'm a little confused about, like, should I, for example, go for the 101 or 102?
You would go for you would go if you have a retreat. So first thing you would need is to have a retreat experience.
So the retreat within the course doesn't count then. It's a different retreat.
So the course is not a retreat. So the retreats that you take are on your own.
Yeah, the one day.
Oh, the 1 day retreat in the course doesn't count. No.
That's what I was, okay.
Yeah.
So we need like a full week retreat or something like, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
Either 1 5 to 7 day retreat or 2 3 day retreats.
Got it.
That
Thank
qualify.
you.
Yeah, thank you
That's
for
why
that
I got confused a little bit. No.
Yeah, well, I get it. It's like it's a lot to sort of like sort through and figure it out. So this question, where is it? This question from
Shauna.
Is it Shauna? Yeah, is it Shauna about like a sustainable full-time? This is a really good question. So I really think it depends on your capacity to teach. I will say that just being independent, meaning on your own, teaching only MBSR as a full-time job as at a sustainable level is probably not sustainable. You would have to be teaching, but it depends on what you consider to be a sustainable level of income for yourself. But you would have to be teaching a fair amount of courses on a regular basis. And if you've not taken the course, or even if you have, as teachers, we're holding a lot when we're holding a class for 8 weeks. Right here at Brown, we might teach 2, maybe 3 classes at a time, and then we need to like sort of back off a little bit, right? However, if you're in a work environment that would be interested in bringing this to the employees, that might be one way that you can pair what you're doing. So some settings, some of you might be in healthcare settings that are interested in offering MBSR, but also MBSR is of interest to a lot of wellness programs. And so it's something that you might want to talk with your company's HR about and just say, would you be interested in this?
Yeah, to add to that, we've had a number of individuals go through our teacher training pathway, and it's been funded by their employer,
Yeah.
because they're able to kind of make the pitch for how becoming a mindfulness facilitator or even becoming an MBSR teacher would bring value to their organization and their ability to then bring this back to the employees.
Yeah, and while we're on this theme, I want to come up, Bobby, to your question about, does the course help with learning how to market and grow a client base? It's a really good question because some of us are like, oh, like really experienced transformative experiences with MBSR and really want to bring it to the world. Yet we're not necessarily, maybe I'm speaking for myself, not necessarily a business person. It's like, oh, I actually never thought about that aspect of it. So we have a few of our teachers that also have their MBAs, that are also entrepreneurs, and we're negotiating and talking with one about bringing that type of course into the teacher training pathway, not as a requirement, but as an add-on if people are interested in doing that, or also pointing to teachers that can support with this. And also the community, right? So often we have people that go through foundations and we have people that go through TAI. Like Erin Wu will tell you that she is still practicing, I think every morning at 7 o'clock with 4 or 5 people from her foundations class whenever she took that years ago. But they've stayed connected. And I think that's true for a lot of us. Like relationships are forged in these kinds of really deep and meaningful experiences. And so, and we get our teachers together on a monthly basis and talking about like what's of interest, breaking up in small groups so that we provide an opportunity to network and support each other. So there's a lot of sharing around, how are you doing this? What are you doing? How are you networking? We offer community sits. So at Brown, we also are working to build a network of and support the teachers that go through our teacher training pathways, both MBSR and MBCT. We don't yet have a directory of MBSR teachers. We're in the process of creating like a list of teachers, but the monthly teachers meeting is a way to start to connect with the group. Victoria, you were coming in.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I have a question about the time commitment for the TAI program in terms of not, yes, the classes I understand is it's 8 weeks, the TAI program.
The foundations is 10 weeks,
Right.
2 classes, and the TAI is 9 days.
9 days. 9 days.
Spread out over weekends, every other weekend.
Okay. And how much work is there after in terms of our own practice or in anything that we have to prepare for class?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. So for both classes, there's, especially for foundations, there's a fair amount of reading, just reading the latest research, reading different materials, different books on, or chapters from books on trauma sensitivity and different aspects of teaching. For the TAI, the time would be spent both maybe practicing with people in your cohort before you actually deliver something in class, or putting something together, additional reading.
So mainly reading materials and practice time.
Yeah. I mean, in many ways it's not, but in many ways, sometimes we've had people describe, it feels a little bit like a graduate study program.
Yeah, that's what I was asking in terms of the time commitment. All right.
Yeah. And when you look at the underpinnings of these programs, of these mindfulness-based programs, MBSR in particular, so there's the underpinning of Buddhist teachings and contemplative methodologies. There's the underpinnings of the science, which is ever evolving, right? We've gone from efficacy studies pre-post to neuroscience now. There's the underpinning of experiential education. How do adults learn? How do we support like learning from a direct experience, reflecting on an experience and translating that into our daily life and our daily behaviors? There's the pillar of group process. So many people come to the class and they're surprised at how much learning happens just by being part of the community from each other, and how the teacher is holding that space and facilitating that. And then there's additionally what we're learning more and more about trauma sensitivity when it comes to mindfulness practice, equity, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and how to support cultural adaptations and support depending on the communities that you're working with to make the course relevant and meaningful and personal. So from my perspective, once you complete the teacher training program, you're able to start teaching. Your study, your practice, that's a lifelong endeavor. There is always something to learn. There is always one of those competencies you can go deeper in, which is what keeps it alive and fresh for us as teachers. Yeah. The 2 years experience could include taking the MBSR class, but if your first foray into mindfulness practice is taking the class, you're going to need a little bit more practice before entering the teacher training pathway. Because we're looking at this arc of curriculum around perception and stress psychology and stress physiology. But again, it's not a didactic learning experience. It's an experiential born out of awareness. So as teachers, we have to be pretty grounded in our own practice. We have to be pretty intimately familiar with the territory and the terrain that we're inviting people to walk through. Yeah, these are great questions. Yeah, so let me just I know we've just got a few minutes. I'm just going to put up the, I want to show the full teacher training pathway. You can find this on our website. So I got us to here on the first graphic. So as you'll see here, there's a few more courses. MBSR Curriculum Study Group, the Ethos of Mindfulness-Based Programs, Dialogue and Inquiry. There's 2 additional retreats. When you start teaching after the qualified level, usually around your 4th class or so, 3rd or 4th class, one of your classes is done alongside the individual mentoring process where one of the senior teachers will be working with you on your class. And this is an opportunity to really hone and dive deeper into a particular area of teaching. For example, often people want to explore the dialogue and inquiry aspect of teaching. And then when you complete these requirements, you submit a packet. You submit a recording and a packet of materials for teacher certification review. So depending on, and you have to teach the class, you have to teach the 8-week class a minimum of 6 times. So this is what could take some time depending on your availability to teach. So this is why we focus on, if you're interested in teaching, then what do you need to do to start teaching? And again, if you have questions about your individual circumstances, because I'm just aware of time, if you have follow-up questions, I put Erin Wu's email in the chat. I'm going to put it in again. She is happy to receive emails from you, either respond via emails or set up an individual meeting with you to go over like your individual questions that you may have. The Insight Inside Us retreat, Chris, was designed by 2 of our teachers, and specifically is a retreat designed for mindfulness-based program teachers, not just MBSR teachers, but mindfulness-based program teachers, which is why it's one of the requirements. So I see we're at time. So if you can stay for just another moment, just notice what's here, because you might be like, wait, 1,000,001 more questions have just arisen, or I'm really excited, I want to get in, or I don't know. Right? Maybe just taking a moment and once again, bringing your attention to your body and feel it just settling right into the chair. The weight of the body sitting in the chair. Not wanting to move away from levels of interest and excitement or wondering that may have arisen. But wanting to collect that. Settle a bit before moving on. And then when you're ready, opening your eyes. And if you have a few moments after we end, you might just want to jot down what's present for you. Capture how you're feeling right now, including any questions that you might want to bring to Erin. But something's been sparked, right? You want to nourish and nurture that. Yeah, thank you, everyone. And maybe I'll see you in class at some point. Yeah, take good care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patty.